As you remember from the last video, cyanobacteria learned photosynthesis. They use sunlight, water, and carbon dioxide to create their own food. But it became a byproduct of this process, oxygen. At first, there was very little of it. It just dissolved in water. But cyanobacteria multiplied actively, and over time, oxygen became more and more abundant. It began to fill the oceans and then the atmosphere. And then the big changes began. The oceans literally rusted. Oxygen reacted with iron in the water. This iron oxidized and settled to the bottom in the form of rust. The water turned red-brown. This is how vast deposits of iron ores appeared, which we still mine today. But it's not just the oceans that have changed. Many ancient organisms, those that used to live without oxygen, began to die out. Oxygen was poison to them. He was destroying their cellular processes. It became a real environmental disaster. However, it is thanks to this that a new era has begun. When all the oxygen stopped being used to oxidize iron, it began to accumulate in the atmosphere. And over time, the ozone layer formed, an invisible shield that began to protect the Earth from deadly ultraviolet radiation. Thanks to oxygen and the ozone layer, the Earth has become suitable for more complex life. The world turned from dark and poisonous to light and saturated with oxygen. The appearance of eukaryotes about 2 billion years ago. The next important step is the appearance of eukaryotes. Before that, all organisms were prokaryotes, simple cells without a nucleus, but about 2 billion years ago, eukaryotes appeared, more complex cells with a clear internal organization. What's so special about them? First, the core. It contained all the genetic information. DNA. This gave the cell the opportunity to better control its processes, protect important data, and adapt to environmental changes. Secondly, auxiliary parts appeared inside the cage, like small workstations. For example, mitochondria are like mini power plants. They provided the cell with energy, and chloroplasts helped plants use sunlight to make their own food. Eukaryotes have become not only stronger and more resilient, they have opened the way to multicellular life. For the first time, it became possible to combine cells into a single organism. Improved gene exchange, about 1.5 billion years ago. The next twist is even more unusual. About 1.5 billion years ago, microorganisms mastered horizontal gene transfer, meaning they began exchanging genes directly with each other, even if they weren't related. Imagine if you could just download someone's knowledge and skills without going through a long learning process. That's about how it worked. How did this exchange take place? One cell could transfer part of its DNA to another. Viruses transferred genes between cells, infecting them and leaving foreign DNA fragments. And some cells simply picked up DNA fragments from the environment and used them. This process accelerated evolution. Genetic diversity increased, and life adapted to the new conditions much faster. The appearance of multicellular organisms, about 1.2 billion years ago. The next step is one of the most significant. About 1.2 billion years ago, multicellular organisms appeared on Earth. At first, they were just colonies of cells living nearby, but then these cells began to share responsibilities. Some were responsible for movement, others for food, and others for protection. This is how a real biological team appeared, where each participant performed his task. This was the beginning of cell specialization, and as a result, the ancestors of plants, fungi, and animals emerged. The Cambrian explosion, about 541 million years ago. And now we are approaching the brightest event of the Proterozoic, the Cambrian explosion. About 541 million years ago, a huge variety of new life forms appeared on Earth in a relatively short time. The first complex animals appeared: jellyfish, worms, crustaceans, eyes, shells, limbs appeared. And most importantly, predators and prey appeared. The struggle for survival began, and evolution proceeded with incredible speed. The ancestors of vertebrates also appeared. Fish, amphibians, reptiles, dinosaurs, and mammals later evolved from them. and you and me. This explosion of diversity has become the starting point of modern life on Earth. From the simplest single-celled bacteria to multicellular organisms, complex animals, and the beginning of a real biosphere. From the toxic atmosphere to the oxygen sky and the ozone shield, from the silent water to the stirring of the first creatures on the ocean floor. And this is just the beginning. Ahead is the Paleozoic Era, where life will come to land, forests will develop, the first insects will appear, and a new, even brighter chapter of Earth's history will begin. Thanks for watching. Wait for the new video.